wabarakatuh. My name is Widiaswari from 14 Intake, and now I'll presentation about the anthropometry. The first is definition of the anthropometry. The anthropometry is a branch of morphometry. Anthropometry is the science that defines physical measures of a person's size, form, and functional capacities. Anthropometry is the study of the size and shape of the component of biological forms and their variation in population. Morphometry can also be defined as the quantitative analysis of biological form. Next, what is the function of the anthropometry? The first is to know how our body shape. As we grow, we should know how our body look alike. Is it same with the other people or there is a different? What is normal look alike? And in children, we can use it to ensure the adequate growth patterns and to assess the risk of the obesity. And in adults, we can use to determine nutritional status and the risk of the future disease. But have you ever think about the adult shoe size, children's shoe size, uniform size, or the head size? How can they define the small, medium, or large? How they know how much is small or how long is large? This is where the anthropometric is used. They find the mean of the foot size of the people in their country. It's called an anthropometry of foot size. Then they will know the smallest, the medium, and the large. That's why in every country they have different number of shoe size. It's because the size of their country is different from ours. Next is the factors of human body dimension. The body dimension can be different because some factors. The first is age. Human will grow since born until 20 years old for men and 70 years old for women, and it will decrease in 16 years old. So there is a different body dimension in their age, on the age in 20 or in the 10. There is the difference of body dimension. The next is gender. Of course, the man has bigger body dimension except the chest and the head. And then the ethnic. Ethnic can be effect of the human body dimension because of the ethnic influence. The last is the work. The daily work activities also causing the differences in human body dimension. The people that usually have the heavy work, they usually have the bigger muscle so it can affect the bigger body dimension rather than the people that only work on to write on the desk. The next, what can we measure using the anthropometry? The first is body size and proportion. We can measure the length, the width, or the circumference, and the skin fold. Skin fold is the how much our fat in our body. Next is body mass. We can measure the total body fat, regional fat, and the skeletal muscle. And then we can measure the body breadth. There is a biochromial breadth, biliocrystal breadth, femur width, and the transfer test with it. And then we can measure the growth chart. Is it usually for children who in their growth period? So the parents should know on what age the children can do what. And then the body mass index. This is to find our ideal body proportion that's not overweight or underweight, that is not good for our health. And then this is some equipment for us to measure the anthropometry. The first, there is a weight scale. As we know, the weight scale is to measure our body weight. And then the stadiometer. Stadiometer is usually using for know our body height. And then there is a knee caliper to measure the diameter of our knee, because the knee is not like a flat surface or flat shape, so we cannot use the usual calipers to measure the diameter. And then the skin fold calipers to measure how thick the fat on our body. And then non-stretchable tape measure, it's usually in a round shape that usually can be inserted in our wrist or our body part other, so we can measure it more accurate. And then the Anthropometry to measure the recumbent length, it's usually to measure the height of the infant. So the infant is lying on the Anthropometry, and then we can measure the height. And next, the spreading caliper, it's usually to measure the diameter of our body, because some part of our body is not flat enough to use the usual caliper. And then this is the anthropometric segment length. This is the mean of length of our body. Next is contraindication of anthropometric. The anthropometric measurements are not invasive and as such don't have any contraindication for their use. But there are situations in which the measurement might give inaccurate results, such as acute illness, or be impossible to measure, such as a limb deformity or casting. And then the limitation. The one and only limitation of the anthropometry is the errors in the measurement, because every people have their way to measure, and that can cause the error in the measurement. The first can be affect is non-uniform manner. While we measure the circumference of our wrist, we cannot use the biggest shirt because it might give effect on the diameter. It can make the diameter is bigger than the usual. And then the errors in weight and abdominal obesity measurement occur in higher proportion in the obese population, because on the obese people they have more fat, so it can be affect while we measure the bone. And then the last and then this is the last of my presentation. Hope it can be useful for us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.